Emiru has gotten herself into a little bit of hot water recently, and I do want to discuss this. This all has basically stemmed from her association with people like Tectone and Asmongold, and her lack of taking a stance on where they stand on certain issues or the controversies they have been involved in. There was a clip going around from Emiru's stream where she responded to somebody asking her about ICE, and ultimately she said, "Why are you asking my opinion?" This led to a response from many different people calling her out for not having an opinion on what is going on with the ICE raids. Emiru then responded with a very long post where she explained herself, which we will go through, and we will discuss all of this. It's very obvious why people would choose to be a centrist or more apolitical, basically deciding they won't share their opinion. Obviously, they don't want to alienate different parts of their audience. I will say that being a centrist is probably one of my biggest red flags when it comes to someone's politics, because I don't believe you're really a centrist if you truly are someone who has the bold opinion of not having an opinion. Then you're kind of taking a stance even then. You're showing that whatever the issue is, it's not important enough to you to take a stance. And when that issue is something like ICE, it says a lot. But first, I will play for you the clip that Emiru originally got in trouble for. And I want you to pay close attention to this clip because it will come up again later.
On ICE? Like, there's a certain extent where I'm like, okay, sure, I get people wanting big content creators to, like, say their opinions on, like, important topics. I get that, right? But it's like, if you need a streamer who doesn't even know anything about politics to tell you about politics, you probably just need to, like, get off the internet. Like, just stop. Like hello? Like, I don't, like, what? Like, how am I gonna, I don't know. Get help. Like, even, like, I don't know. Like, obviously I don't, like, dislike any of the political streamers, except for, like, some of, like, the really bad ones. I don't really like them. But it's like, I don't understand how in the first place people care so much what they say. I guess just because they just have a lot of reach or influence, but it's like, why are you listening to them in the first place? I don't know.
Okay, so that is the clip, and as far as you can tell, it's pretty clear what Emiru says, right? Now, let's get into her response to all of this. After she got called out, after various different content creators chimed in and commented on what she had to say, which again was not much of anything, she responded with essentially an essay giving her side of everything. And I want to go through this bit by bit and sort of break this down because it is a long post. Okay, so here we have Emiru's post, and we're just gonna go through it. Ready? Hello. It's very rare I will speak my mind, but I'd rather get my thoughts out there, so apologies if this is long. There's a clip from my stream that's been circulating a lot, so I'd like to explain it for anyone who was hurt or shocked by it. When the clip starts, I was responding to a mod asking a question that included the word ICE. I'm not someone who normally comments on or gives my opinion on serious real-world topics, so it didn't really click to me that they were referring to the agency. You can see in the clip when I say thoughts on ICE, there is an instant cut afterwards that makes it seem like I'm responding directly to that question, which I'm not. Okay, so this is interesting. And luckily, some people were able to actually, I had attempted to on stream. You should follow me and hit that notification bell so you know when I go live. And also leave a like, please and thank you. But I was unable to because the part of the stream had been muted. That means we can actually take a look at what Emiru actually said and see if she is telling the truth here.
Thoughts on ICE? I don't know what that is. Allie, I genuinely have no idea what that is. I don't know what you're talking about. What is Hassanet? No, you don't stop. You can't stop. No, I know what. Oh, no, I know what ice is. I thought. Okay, never mind. That's you? Like, I do. Like, there's a certain extent where I'm like, okay, sure, I get people wanting big content creators to, like, say their opinions on, like, important topics. I get that, right?
Okay, so aside from her not knowing what ice was, which I think is kind of funny to be honest with you, it is clear that this was not taken out of context in any significant way, and I do want you to keep that in mind as we continue reading through her post here, because she will really hone in on this. She will imply that this was clipped to make her look bad, and as far as I'm concerned, it was edited to cut out the sort of dead air in between where she reads the question and where she actually answers the question. That's really all that was edited out of this video, was to make it so that you got the answer right after you heard the question. Now, I do think that Emiru is correct in some degree. You shouldn't be going to content creators for your political opinions. My personal advice to you is always going to be to educate yourself, stay up to date on what is going on, and form your opinions based on that. You can, of course, use content creators as a tool for various different things, like keeping up to date on current events and that sort of thing, but that should really be it. A tool, something you can use for your benefit, and something that helps you actually continue to develop your own opinions and worldview. So, sure, I think she is correct there. But on the other hand, you don't really need to be political to have an opinion on what ICE is doing. In fact, a lot of people who aren't political have strong opinions on what ICE is doing. That is why it has been such a clusterfuck for the Trump administration. To clarify, since this has gotten a lot of people speculating about my real thoughts, it should go without saying, no one deserves to live their life in fear of being killed or taken away from their homes or families, regardless of who is doing it, but especially not because of ICE or any other government agency. I understand the world is a very cruel and messed up place. You don't have to study politics or actively read the news to know that. I would never want to invalidate anyone who struggles with those things, and an agency like causing fear and suffering deserves zero support. To me, that's not even political, it's basic human empathy. I never made comments on stream about ICE in the first place. This is important, because this part to me really represents that Emiru doesn't quite understand what's happening here. I'm going to read that again. I never made comments on stream about ICE in the first place. That's true. That's true. She's right. And that was the problem. She circumvented the question. She avoided answering it. And no amount of clipping made her seem that way. It was just what happened. She, of course, doesn't seem to present it that way, though. That was a dishonest and intentionally maliciously clipped post. I showed you the full clip. You can judge for yourself, I guess, if you think it was maliciously clipped, but as far as I'm concerned, it didn't clip it in a way that made it seem like she didn't answer the question when she did, because she didn't answer the question. It's a very common thing that clip accounts do to streamers, and it's becoming more and more common. I'm getting a little bit tired of this narrative, because yes, there are clip accounts that do this to streamers. There are streamers who suffer from this far more than someone like Emiru does. However, this was not a case of that. This was not a case of someone maliciously clipping her stream. But it should go without saying, no one should have to live in fear or suffer because of who they are or where they're from. This is something that's always been important to me. I just tend to try and focus my creative stuff around games and cosplay rather than try to take up room in an environment already polluted by misinformation and hatred. So it should go without saying. The problem is it doesn't go without saying. That's why people want you to say it. That's why people want you to speak up. There are a lot of people who think that these people do deserve to suffer, that they do deserve to be taken from their families. That's the problem, Emiru. You could fall either way, and that's why people wanted to know which way you actually lean. And I do believe that this is the real opinion that she holds, which again goes back to the appearance of centrism, right? It's not real. It's a facade, it's a mask people put on in order to appear as though they don't have an opinion on things. But in reality, it's just meant to mask their real opinion. Additionally, I thought I might as well bring this up now. It's a very traumatic and personal topic, so that is why I avoided talking about it. I will never be friends with anybody who abuses anyone, assaults people, or consumes content that enables the abuse of children. I've always been a creator who is friends or on good terms with basically everybody, streamers in Texas, in LA, and all different bubbles, and this has unfortunately included some bad actors. A lot of people have questioned how these bad actors found their way into my circle, but it is certainly not because I am okay with vile behavior, not abuse, not sexual assault, nor pedophilia. These guys did their best to hide their behavior, not only from me, but from everyone around us as long as they possibly could. As serious allegations or evidence came out, I always immediately dropped them and vowed to never make content with them again. Basically, everyone in Austin did the same. These incidents, multiple of them, of course, were something the streamer community here talked about extensively and affected all of us a lot. I thought actions over words, never interacting with those people again, and preventing them from being involved in streamer community activities, a lot of which in Austin are hosted by me, would send a clear message that this type of shit isn't welcomed. I suppose maybe that did not make how I felt clear. I do think that in a situation like this, a clear condemnation is also needed. She didn't really, make a statement. She didn't make it public. And I do think that in a situation like this, where one is being accused of sexual assault, something that people like to diminish and disregard, public support, especially from somebody with a platform like Emiru's, would go a long way. It would be very helpful, and I'm sure it would probably mean a lot to the victims, especially when they are receiving a lot of hatred and negativity to begin with. I do think a public statement would have been good on her part, but ultimately that's not what she did. Well, hopefully this makes it more clear. Anyone who abuses people or children is not my friend and never will be again. Always has been that way and always will continue to be that way. I know this won't stop people from taking issue with the way I do things. I don't expect it to. I'm saying this because I know my community and friends are fatigued. That's pretty much it. Thank you for taking the time to read this. I will continue doing what I usually do. I just wanted to finally say something because the speculation and lies were getting out of control. It'll likely continue, but I hope putting my stance out there will help those who already feel unsupported and unsafe, like there's one less person trying to send hatred their way. So that was Emiru's response to all of the controversy, and like I said, I do think this is her real opinion. I do think that she is someone who is likely a little bit more left-leaning when it comes to this topic specifically. This is probably where she really lies. So why play the role of the centrist? And why is that not really working anymore? It's worked for quite some time. It's been the preferred position, the position that helps you even. Not just is it a defensive position, but it is one that can boost your career. Being able to toe the line and play both sides has been beneficial to many people. Emiru specifically avoids giving her opinion because she knows that her audience overlaps quite a bit with the likes of Asmongold and Tectone. Knowing that her audience is full of chuds just like theirs, she has to walk this very careful tightrope of not giving her likely real opinion because she knows that they will be hostile towards it. Having such a large overlap with Asmongold means that she shares the very reactionary and hostile audience that Asmongold has. People who are primed and ready to attack anything that even slightly represents leftist politics or even just basic empathy. My big thing is Emiru has been able to remain friends with Asmongold for quite some time. Through all of the bigotry, through all of the transphobia, things that have a direct effect on the people in Emiru's life. It does say something about you, who you associate with, and it says what you are willing to put up with. It says what is and is not a deal breaker for you. in this case, Asmongold's behavior hasn't been a deal breaker. And I do think it's fascinating because Asmongold has sold out his friends. He doesn't care if his rhetoric hurts them at all, and I do believe it does. It makes these online environments more hostile and sometimes even dangerous for people who Asmongold claims to be friends with. But he doesn't care about that. Once again, he has sold out his friends for the bag, and yet they continue to cling to him for some reason. I suppose it could also just be money, clout, that kind of thing, but whatever it is, it's time to let go. It's time to move on. He obviously doesn't give a fuck about you and is willing to say whatever and willing to do whatever to get what he wants. It's a shameful position, but it is what he has decided to do. So someone like Emiru should really wake up and realize that and distance herself from Asmongold as soon as possible. I do think we are entering a period where people are tired of seeing that. They want to know your opinion. They want to know where you stand, and they want to know if they agree with you. But at the same time, I also recognize how that could make you a target, and we have seen Asmongold willing to weaponize his audience time and time again.
Like Emiru got yelled at because woke is back.
We do have to do something about this. And I will continue, like, I think I might ramp up my hostility towards the people online that are pushing these woke narratives. I think we might need to ramp it up and be even more militant and aggressive at these people. We do. I think we have to be a lot more militant and aggressive at them. 100%. Because if you're not, they'll do it to you. I'll link you guys like one of our Twitter communities. So there it is. They're used to being militant and aggressive. Yeah, well, we have to be even more aggressive. We have to be even more aggressive, even more hostile. And is this the example here? If I can find it. We're at 40,000 people. We have made 40,000 people. 40,000 people in this community. We have to be more aggressive with these people. Because you don't want to have them go around and bully and try to enforce their worldview on other people. That's what we need to do. I feel like you're just alienating moderates by being more like the left. That's just, bro, like... This... Play by their rules and maybe they'll let you win. I don't function that way, okay? Other people like functioning that way. That's not what I do. I don't play by other people's rules.
I don't play by your rules, man.
Politics has been a hot topic in general, not just in the streaming world, but in the real world. Oftentimes, people can have a conversation and try to steer clear of politics because they know it can be contentious. It can lead to arguments. It can lead to disagreements. However, overall, we all should just get more comfortable talking about politics. Talking about these topics that make us uncomfortable is a good thing. And it's better for us to get more comfortable with these topics than to just ignore them entirely. That is ultimately where I think a lot of this comes from, a desire to feel comfortable. You don't want to feel uncomfortable. You don't want to feel like people are judging you for your opinions. You don't want to feel like people are angry at you for your opinions, and so you just don't share your opinion. Ultimately, you benefit from it in the end anyways, so why not just keep quiet? Personally, I think that is the coward's position to begin with, but especially when things are as they are now. The Trump administration should be called out for what they are doing. People online should be called out for supporting it. Emiru would go a long way if she were to call out someone like Asmongold for what he says and does. But her and Asmongold, they're friends. They're friendly. I don't suspect that will be the case. This is what I expect from Emiru. As long as it doesn't affect her, I don't suspect she will really get too involved or too invested. It didn't affect her. It wasn't her problem, and so she didn't feel the need to speak on it. And now that it does affect her, she feels the need to speak on it. I'm not asking her to become a political fucking commentator or anything like that. I just think that Emiru, along with basically every other person in the world, perhaps even including myself, could take a little bit of time to be more proactive about the things that we care about and perhaps being more invested in certain topics and that kind of thing. She claims to care about these things. She claims to think that they are wrong. And I'm, again, not asking her to become a political commentator, but you can use your platform every now and again to raise awareness or even just have a conversation about these things. I do think that, again, this is sort of where we are headed now. People are done with centrists. They are done with apolitical, towing the line, being neutral. They want to know where you stand. They want to know your opinions. And especially when it comes to certain topics like ICE, for example, because this is definitely a place where you should draw the line. It should be a non-starter for someone to support ICE. ICE is the Gestapo. They have killed people. And I do think that you are well within your rights to be critical of someone who supports ICE at this point. That is really all I had, though, on this topic and on Emiru and that kind of thing. I really did just want to talk about centrism and how it has manifested in the streamer space and how it has sort of de-evolved at this point, how we are reaching a point where people are done with centrism. Other than that, though, I do have some links down below you can check out. Specifically, I have Sudan donation links you should take a look at. Other than that, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, share the video with a friend, all that lovely stuff, and I will see you all later. So please take care of yourself, free Palestine, and goodbye.